Welcome to the Truth to Power show, and my name is Beverly D. And tonight my co-host is Ron March from the Ron March Show that is with us every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as always, Ron March break it down for us so we can understand it. He give us the information that we need. And tonight he's going to be talking about civil rights is on trial. Michael Vick versus Michael Brown. Ron March, are you with us?
Yes, ma'am, I am. Good evening. How are you, Beverly?
Great to have you back. You was out of town last week.
I have been around the world 2 times and met everybody 3 times. I've been having a good little vacation, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yes, I had to make a trip, and I'm back, and we can get started as soon as you're ready. I got some good news.
Do you have any updates for us on what is going on in Detroit with the water and all that other good stuff?
Yes. For all the Detroit listeners, Saturday, September the 2nd? I'm not sure. Okay. This Saturday at Cobo Hall at 9 o'clock. There's going to be panels set up to pay your water bill and put you on a payment program that can get your systems turned on and pay your arrearage. This is news breaking information, and it's only being distributed through let's call it the underground network programs like mine and the Black Station over in Highland Park. And a lady came to my class last night and made the announcement that anyone that had their service turned off or has a enormous arrearage, be there Saturday morning, and they're going to pay, listen to this, they're going to pay your arrearage and set up a payment plan for you to start making reasonable payments to the water company to keep the system going.
Okay.
So I think that's remarkable.
Yes, it is. Now, that's September the 2nd at 9 a.m. at Cobo Hall, and that's in downtown Detroit.
Correct. Downtown Detroit, it is. Now, believe it or not, that announcement ties in directly with Ferguson, Missouri.
Okay.
And we have to be aware, I was taught, that we are under the microscope by the government, especially if whites are in charge. And now that the black is there and we're waking up at such a rapid pace, we are being micro-studied on every move we make.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? Detroit, with the water mistake, and somebody's going to pay for this, I guarantee you, and I believe it will be Day Jones Corporation with that emergency manager, because they want out of the contract and or wants to leave immediately. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Right. Well, what they're trying to do is save their financial future, because being such a large firm, they were going to use the program or the pilot program that they displayed in Detroit and move it across the country to make change over these cities and these urban cities, turn them over to the Europeans. So as a result, they ran into a huge snag in Detroit, and as that to be, they are now under the microscope themselves to get out of town by sundown. Now, out of all the wolf tickets they sold about water, and you are totally aware of Miss Beverly D., they did a complete reverse, and now they just said we're out of here. Even the bankruptcy is getting weak, and I'm not sure about updates on the bankruptcy, but I do know that the Board of Education has sent a message to the bankruptcy people that they're not buying any more cuts, so we'll just shut down the entire school system if you come at us with another cut. I was listening to the president last week.
Okay.
Now, Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm talking today from it's a microcosm of events, but it's affecting the entire black nation of America. You got to keep that in mind, because if not, you're gonna get tied up and confused. When I set out to say that what's the difference between Michael Vick and Michael Brown, everybody looks at me like I'm out to lunch. And I say, just calm down for a minute and let's evaluate it. Now, if we go with Michael Vick first, Michael Vick was a citizen, 14th Amendment citizen of the United States of America. He, in turn, violated the rights, the civil rights of an animal. He violated the civil rights of an animal. Now, why is that important? Well, the 14th Amendment was set up and amended, especially during the 60s with Martin Luther King. It was amended and accepted that Negro, colored, blacks, all labeled by the government come under the 14th Amendment. The United States of America has no authority, no jurisdiction, no any power to effect black America. None. Unless you have accepted to be a 14th Amendment citizen. Now, that means you have two avenues. You're natural 24/7, but you're also, when it comes to the system, you are all capital letters. We've discussed that, Beverly, several times, how that works. You got to have the knowledge, the knack, the understanding that you can switch backwards and forward any way you want and be what you want to be. But you have to declare it. If you do not declare your status, they will accept you automatically as a 14th Amendment citizen. What does that have to do with Ferguson? Simple. If you would let Mike Brown be the dog and that Nelson hitman be Michael, then they have to explore Michael Brown's civil rights to see if Nelson violated it. Because Nelson would be Mike Vick and Mike Brown would be the dogs. They gave Michael Vick 2 years on a felony charge. Now, they don't like to bring this information out the way I'm specifically bringing it to you, because you'll wake up and ask questions as to how do you do that and why do you do that. But as long as we have been in America, we have never seen, heard of, or even thought of any European screaming about his civil rights. When they whooped that white boy out in California, they beat him to a pulp with a brick. Remember, they ran up and smacked him upside the head during that Rodney King. And no, it was during the civil rights revolution back in the late 60s. They hit that white boy and beat him unmercifully. He was a truck driver. Yanked him out of that semi and beat him unmercifully. And it was unclear who did it, so there was a mass confusion about it. Someone said he can file, they violated his civil rights, and that was the last you heard of it. Why not have civil rights? Because he has a nationality. Anyone that has the nationality is not a 14th Amendment citizen. They don't talk about it. They don't declare it. Most people don't know it because they don't want to wake you up, Black America. They do not want to wake you up. But they are at a crossroads now in Ferguson that they are on the cusp of announcing that the America does not belong to all Europeans or on land that belongs to Black America. It's that close. I'm watching every move. And to add to that, not only did Holder go into the city, they're talking about bringing the President of the United States into the city. Now, think. All you got to do is think. Now, I'm listening to all these blackies down there running to the microphone, especially the jackass preachers that I can't stand a preacher. He runs in there and talks about Jesus and all the good stuff. We need peace. There is no more peace. Nary a thought that there's peace. These cats are coming from New York, California, all of the Carolinas. They're coming from everywhere, going into the city. And they see it. Everybody's aware of it but us. Now, let's go back to Detroit and the water. The only reason that we are getting satisfaction out of the water situation in Detroit is because the United Nations is here. The only reason Holder and the president and the FBI and all that federal is going on in Ferguson is to keep the United Nations from sending in official people to monitor what's going on down there. Because it's on the cusp of exploding the entire United States Constitution. The contract that we gave them, the Moors gave the 6 European nations a contract. And we're on the cusp right now in Ferguson of blowing and exploring the information of the trust in the Constitution and America, those that have sense. And we ain't talking about them redneck cluckers that's down there. I'm talking about those running for president and those that have these exclusive high jobs. They understand the problem that they're in. This is worse than the civil rights movement. That's why they brought that up. And if you read any history of the civil rights movement, Richard Nixon said that was the closest to the collapse of the United States of America that has ever been since the Civil War. And I'm saying that this one in Ferguson is worse than that. It is humongous. There is no peace. No peace, no justice. He said it right. There is no peace. There's no way to resolve it. They can't resolve it. Now, let's take time out and go and talk about the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement and the 14th Amendment was only set up so that the blacks in America could be recognized. You cannot be recognized anywhere in the world, in the United States, unless you come under the 14th Amendment. If you come under the natural, what most of us are talking about, you are letting the world know that you want your independence and you want the Europeans off your land. We are in the same position or predicament of the Palestinians. The only difference is they have arms to fight. We don't have arms to fight. I was thinking and listening as I was preparing my program for today. They cut that European head off. As ugly and as horrible and outrageous it was. Nobody mentions the bombs that the Bush family, Daddy Bush and Junior Bush, nobody mentions these drones that the President of the United States is firing into these countries, killing babies, mamas, children, grandfolks, all kinds of people. Nobody talks about that. So these rebels, as they call them, took one person and beheaded him, decapitated his head and all of that. As horrible as it is, nobody's talking about the bombs and the murders and the outrageous crimes that have been, war crimes that's been committed by the United States. Those individuals down in Ferguson are no more angrier than the blacks in Detroit, the blacks in Cleveland, Chicago, Pennsylvania, all over America. We can feel that pain. And they, down there, have did you listen to the structure of the city of Ferguson? Everything of any power is ran by white people. Even the biggest killer of the state or of the community, which would be the prosecutor, that's the most powerful person in there, he's upset because a black kid killed his daddy back in the day.
Yeah.
And he's standing there telling them, I'm not going to step down, I'm not going to do this. Now, as ugly as the whole scene is, and I am not an attorney, I think that I could win I could win the case for the white boy. I could win that case for the white boy because nobody's talking about change of venue. The white boy is a citizen of the United States of America. I don't give a damn what he did. He has a right to a fair trial. And if you look at it from that perspective, he has a right for a change of venue. And he would probably hope, because you know the people down there are not going to tolerate it. He would probably hope that they don't tolerate it and find him guilty so he can appeal for the rest of his life all the way to the Supreme Court. He'll never go to jail. He may have to leave with the community, but he'll never go to jail because he has the right to a fair trial. Now, if they move the trial, they've already said the city is surrounded by caravans of havens, Ku Klux Klan havens. That's all it is down there. All of those small towns, Ku Klux Klan. Now, the next thing that you would look at, if I was defending it, I'd say we got to look at these bullets. Let's look at it. You can argue, and I'm not saying you will win, but you can argue the fact, did the bullets go in or did the bullets come out? The witnesses now are being confused. They're finding people to say that they fought in the car. I heard that today. Somebody said it. They wouldn't show his face. How did they put that on? They said that he didn't, it wasn't on film. They wouldn't put him on film. But they put the words on the screen, and someone read it and said that there was a tussle at the car. Well, the two young girls that were sitting up on the balcony that saw the entire thing, they never said that there was a scuffle at the car. They said that they saw the police officer reach out of the door after he ran the car into him, reach out, grab him, tried to pull him through the window or something of that nature. And the young boy pushed away with the strip and got released. While they were doing that, the gun went off inside the car. The European police officer jumps out and starts shooting at him. Now, we can argue all day. 10 feet, 2 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet. And once they find out that those young girls that are prime witnesses smoke dope, high school dropouts, what else can I say? Having babies without daddies in the house, all of the negatives. So now they don't even qualify as competent witnesses. So now,
but why did he have to shoot him so many times? The autopsy said he was shot 2 times in the head. He was shot 2 times.
All right. Did you see a picture of the white boy, of the police officer?
No.
I did. I would give him no more than 190 pounds, and that's a lot. Do you know how much that young 18-year-old boy weighed? 285.
Yeah. Well, why is he on the police force if he's scared then?
Now, you brought the word up, scared. Who said he was scared?
Oh, they surrounded by the Ku Klux Klan, huh?
I'm telling you. He got more nerve than a monkey with a wristwatch to attack 2 young youths. You dig? And then, without calling for backup, and there's no competent information that he knew of the robbery. And I hear now rumors that the other police cars showed up in a matter of minutes. So where did they come from? It was almost like it was a setup. The same way Malice Green got murdered, it was a setup and it got out of hand.
Yeah. Well, I don't even believe the robbery because if you look at the picture that they showed about the guy in the store, he had shorts on. This young guy had long pants on. He had shoes on. This guy in the store had sandals on. So we know that they do the propaganda thing.
Correct. And you're supporting my argument in defending the white officer in a change of venue. Ain't no telling what they're allowed to say to change the venue. And then the question is, who's going to go in those venues to either monitor the trial or testify? And they've already said that the town is so racist and white supremacy runs the town that the witnesses that saw it are afraid to talk because they know that the news media will be gone in a matter of time, and by it being gone, their lives will be in danger from the police department. Do you dig it?
Mm-hmm.
Today, I just heard earlier today, a police officer from that community was suspended without pay because on Tuesday night, he took an automatic weapon and told the black crowd, if you didn't get your black ASS back out of the way, I'll blow your black F, boop, 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 cussing, blow your brains out. Waving that pistol loaded. And somebody took pictures of it. You need to go to the TV tonight, news. And they went and found him. And they put out that he came from another community. Now this is even worse. He comes from another community and does not tolerate black people talking back to him. And Ron Johnson said he'll never come back into Ferguson. You're right. But the trial may go to his community. Nobody's talking about that. Change the venue. That would be the first thing out of my mouth if I was his attorney. Change the venue. And once they don't have a choice. Because nobody can tell me that he's going to get a fair trial. Let's call it like it is. Nobody's going to tell me he'll get a fair trial in Ferguson, Missouri. Most would say he don't need a fair trial because it was cold-blooded murder. That's not what the Constitution and the judicial system is all about. Everyone is entitled to a fair day in court. Due process of the law. I'm surprised that those lawyers or somebody is not looking at that.
They probably are.
Well, if they was, they would put the word out and make that whole crowd back up. But it's too late now because they have marred that city that they hate the prosecutor, they hate the police department, and they hate the mayor. And what they're going to do, and all of them will be looking for a job, I can tell you that. But it better be monitored by United Nations because somebody's going to go down there like Jesse Jackson, and I don't even know if they'll show up, but somebody's going to go down there and have a voter registration drive and register all them blackies. About 70% of the city is black. And the government itself is about 2%. Oh, they said it was less than 1% black. The government, like all the positions that run the city, is less than 1%. This is a mess. Now, do you also know that there was another murder or killing in St. Louis, 6 miles from Ferguson? The day is Monday evening. 2 police officers shot a 23-year-old black man because he had and he threatened. I don't know the details of that, but he was shot. And the community said that he was mentally deranged, and the police officers knew it. But they were threatened by the knife he had, so they shot him. So I'm telling everybody that's listening, we are in for a spiritual change in all of society across the country because of Ferguson, Missouri.
Well, to me, it kind of sounds like, they got this petition that's going out. They say that it's a fake, but the KKK has a petition to purge as many African Americans as they can. So it kind of looks like that's what they're doing.
Okay. I mean, what's new? What's new? This has been going on. How long could you yourself, you don't have to answer, how long could you live in a city like Ferguson, Missouri? Can you imagine the pressure that they were under?
Wasn't Detroit kind of like that before Coleman came in?
Well, no. And I'll say
Not
no because they had all the blacks in the black bottom, and they had special police forces. Let me say yes. I'll agree with you.
Right, because before Coleman came in, I don't remember seeing too many black police officers.
There was none.
I don't remember seeing too many black folks down at the city hall when I used to go down there.
Okay, from that perspective, you're totally correct. It was just like Ferguson. But I was going deeper in Detroit because they had to set up a special police force for the black community. I don't know if they have that down there, but they had that here. A big four, and they had then they had SWAT, not SWAT, Stress. Remember Stress?
Yeah.
Those units were set up specifically to hold black people back, and all of them carried two pistols, one issued revolver and one throwaway. And if they made any mistake, they would throw the throwaway down and say that the blackie tried to shoot them. And I don't know if you recall, but one of the biggest killings, one of the killings, cold-blooded murder, happened on an early morning. A black guy was driving fast to go to work. He came up on Gratiot. He was headed out to a Chrysler plant. And when he came up on Gratiot, two off-duty cops were coming the other direction and saw him, made a U-turn, chased him, pulled him over. He was screaming, "I've got to go to work," or whatever. One of the cops pulled out a gun and shot him, cold blood. Boom! Then he threw a switchblade down on his body. This can be documented. I remember it like it was yesterday. So now when everybody comes, they all say the same thing. The guy was pulled over for a traffic violation, and he tried to cut and kill the police officer. Well, Coleman got in office. Now, this was under Kavanaugh, the white mayor. Approximately 8 months to a year later, when Coleman was in office, he had one of his executives go into all of the police department units and do a investigation, let's call it. When she was a female, when she got to the lab, she remembered the case. It was a cold case by then. She pulls out all the evidence, begins to examine it, and found out that in the well of the switchblade that was in the box was Siamese cat hair. Do you hear me? That brother ain't never seen a Siamese cat. So now she turns it in to the prosecutor. Now everybody's all upset. They go out to this police officer's house. He got 4 Siamese cats out there. Now he changes his plea and said that he was under so much stress, he didn't know what else to do but to throw that knife down there because he had worked so hard, had not slept, and he was chasing black people for so long, he didn't know how to sleep at night. So they called it justifiable homicide and told him to take some medical treatment. I know you're going to call me a lie. I can prove that. Unbelievable. Here's another case in Detroit that should be discussed. If Chin was a Chinese boy who was out to a adult, what they call him, what's the right word for him?
Strip club.
Strip club, there you go. He was at a strip club in Highland Park celebrating his birthday. He was talking to some other people about, whatever, baseball. A white man and his son-in-law, Evans was his name, and his son-in-law, thought they was talking about the auto industry where they was laying off all kind of people, and since he was a Japanese, they thought he was Chinese, but they thought he was Japanese. They said that he was the fault of the laying off the people because Chinese were taking over the market. They laid for him in the parking lot, Beverly, took a baseball bat and beat that boy to death in the parking lot and went home.
I remember that.
He was a 4th-degree Knight of Columbus. So he realized he made a mistake. He called Shemansky, Judge Shemansky, to come to his house, put on his robe, and try him for misconduct. And the misconduct prevented anyone from trying him for murder because it would be double jeopardy. That European never went to court, never went to jail. The mama was so distraught, they had to just put her in a stretcher and ship her back to China. She was out of it. Couldn't figure out what happened. The last I heard of the case, it was down in Cincinnati at the appellate level. trying to overthrow all this trash that went on in Detroit. Now, this is in a major city. What you think is going on in that area down there in the South, not Ferguson, all them cities down there where black folks are outnumbered the whites and the whites run everything. This is not over, nowhere near. There's no answer. And every time they put a microscope in their face, they go to talk about Jesus. They go to talk about we got to pray. They go to talk about we want justice. And none of that belongs to them. None of it. And Obama and Holder know it. That's why they're there, because they know when they get this tooth and nickel trial that they're going to put on, they're going to have to immediately arrest him. And when they say not guilty, they got to arrest him in a matter of minutes. And he's going to do some time for violating the dog rights. Go back to Michael Vick. He's going to do some time for shooting that dog named Mike Brown.
Now,
come on with it, baby.
Now you said that you said the dog had the right because he got a nationality, right?
Yes, he's a person. The dog is a person. If you go by any humane society, on the wall of going into those doors, they got the animal rights are damn near identical to 14th Amendment rights. Now, here's a big humdinger. I don't give a damn about a dog. I'm going to tell you that right off the top. And I've had a dog all my life, okay? My point to you is I have never voted for, never suggested there be any rules for his life in my house. Never. But they got these rules set up, and everybody takes it for granted because a dog is so nice and everybody loves a dog. Nobody's ever voted for a dog to have rights. I ain't never heard of it. Have you?
Nope.
How did it get on the books? How are they going to put that boy Vick in jail for fighting dogs when there ain't nothing on the books? So they had to say the dog had civil rights. And let's not forget the Iman over here on Joy Road, who the FBI set up, and he went to Dearborn to unload a truck, and the feds jumped out with a dog, and they turned the dog loose on him. The Iman had black man had a pistol. He shot the dog, and they put 20 bullets in him, the man. He laid there suffering, and they called for an airplane to come and take the dog to Michigan State, University of Michigan Hospital, because the dog was
I remember that too. Yeah.
And nobody couldn't find them old black preachers. Where them sons of guns at? They probably said, oh, he was a Muslim, ain't no big deal. They shot him 22 times. And I think 18 of them was in his groin area. They never could figure out why they were shooting him in that area. Good. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they'll take cases like that and go through the civil rights to get it. And then they'll pay money to get it off the books. But now, here's the printer. Let's go back to Detroit and the water. Now that he knows that and I told you, everything black folks do is on a microscope. Mm-hmm. So when we move on the microscope and we get into it, when we get into exploring and researching these cases, we always find out that they always want to settle out of court because they don't want it to be moved into where it might wake somebody up. But since we've already moved in Detroit and put the United Nations on the books, and they called in here and told the judge, the governor, and that day, and that day, Jones Day, that they are violating the human rights of the Detroit people. They shut down everything and backed off, man.
Mm-hmm.
So Holder and the president and all their utensils is down there to be prepared to bring charges so that it don't go to the United Nations.
Well, I already heard that somebody in the United Nations already made a comment about it.
But that's I'll say the word misnomer, but I'm not saying you didn't hear it.
Okay.
In order for you to go to the United Nations, you Beverly, me, Ron March, has to file a complaint.
Gotcha.
They're looking at everything. Everybody on earth is watching down there. Now, let me tell you something else that happened. Now that I just thought about it, you know, the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King was at a complete shutdown at the highest peak, coming from the Europeans who was fighting to keep us out of their stuff. But when they Bull Connors turned those dogs loose, and them big old German shepherds turned them loose on them women and children, over in Europe, all around the world, came down on the United States, and the whole civil rights movement turned for the better and went in another direction. None of those whites, they're just as racist today as they was then. So why would they give up? You get an idea? Somebody or the United Nations came in, or they was about to come in, and they changed. The whole civil rights movement changed to peace. During the Katrina, the United Nations was all over with down in New Orleans, but nobody declared themselves to be Moors. They was talking about we Negroes. Couldn't find a Moor nowhere. You dig it?
Right.
So United Nations says we're out of here because we cannot fight and rule on property that belongs to the United States. And this is simple.
So they need to try Michael Brown case on human rights, not civil rights.
Yes, ma'am. Bev, you know what? You just so heavy. It's just. You are out there.
You are funny, Ron.
You are totally on the money. I'm telling you.
We have a caller here, Ron. You want to take a call?
Oh yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Always.
We have a caller from 313-532.
Good afternoon, Miss Beverly.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. And good afternoon to Brother March. He kind of stole my thunder because I was gonna bring that case up about the cat hairs thing. Because when he asked you about was this like Detroit, it was like Detroit because you had the Big Four. You had stress, but you also had the tactile mobile unit. The tactile mobile unit, they established that, right, in the 60s. And they used to ride them blue and white Plymouth Furies. And they would have pump shotgun and ride pumps in the car right there in the console. So, and as you get a political history about how Coleman won against the police chief at that time, John F. Nichols, and but you had at that particular time though you had a lot in the religious community that was with Nichols, and one was a famous disc jockey that used to have a show on Channel 2 called Buzz the Fuzz. And,
oh yeah, I remember that.
So they were. That's right. So they was tied in with that, even though these mad dog cops was out here killing us left and right. Also, in the early '70s, December of '72, they had the Boyd, Brown, and Bethune case. Do you remember that case?
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir. And
that eventually be one of the biggest cases in the history of Black America.
Yes, sir. And they never talked about it because you had one of the greatest attorneys ever, Ken Cockrell Sr. Not that neutered thing, they call his son, that defended Hayward Brown and got him off. But they executed Boyd and Bethune down in Atlanta. Yeah. So that whole case is a history, like you said, a history lesson for people because there's so many things involved around that, but you never hear them talk about it. Right here in Detroit.
Why don't you bring the audience up on Bethune and Boyd the case? What were they doing and everything?
Well, they were like black revolutionaries. They were black revolutionaries, and they were actually taking out the drug dealers. You know, in the late 60s, early 70s, that's when the infiltration of drugs was hitting the communities after the post-black power movement. You know, in the midst of the black power movement, you know, the infiltration, the COINTEL program, where they infiltrated a lot of the black nationalist groups, but also part of that plan was to flood all the ghettos with drugs. So these young brothers were like freedom fighters. They was going around taking out the drug dealers. And it just so happened
Fred, did you know that over 50% of the drug houses were owned and ran by police officers?
And that's just the next point I was going to make. That's what happened. When they went to go down on the drug houses, a couple of police officers was waiting because it was their drug houses. That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
And so there was
that's why the police came down so hard. And that's why they came down so hard on them. And
I think it was a couple of police officers got killed when they had the shootout, when they tried to ambush them and it backfired on them. And so then, you know, they was on the FBI, you know, top wanted list, and they hunted them all over the country. Haywood Brown got off because he got, you know, the underground got him with Cockrell, and he turned himself in publicly where they couldn't assassinate him. But it's a you know, Ron knows it well because he was right in the middle of that movement with Drum and the revolutionary workers. But yeah, Detroit was the situation, the climate was just like down there in Ferguson. You had a lily white police force, lily white. You might have had one or two people in the city council, right? Sure enough, lily white fire department. That's why during the insurrection in '67, the firemen was catching hell because it was, you know, they was lily white and they had these age-long policies and practices that excluded black. If you was black, you better not think about it. And I grew up not too far away where the training place was for the firemen. And so, you know, there wasn't no such thing, no black firemen. You can forget that. So, yeah, the climate was the same. You had, you know, armed occupation. And Coleman came in and radically changed that over. And then when that Sambo came in 93, 94, then they started turning the clock back, getting rid of residency and creating, you know.
Did you say that?
Huh?
Did you say that? Did you say Sambo?
Yeah. That thing.
that thing, yeah. Called itself Sergeant.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So there's a lot of history right here in Detroit that people need to pay attention to because you're seeing it repeated yourself. Well, the last thing I want to say is that the government that's kind of created this gangster underground community with the blacks, with the rap music and the infiltration of the prison type mentality. It's backfiring on them. I'm the same brothers now that don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear we shall overcome. They don't want to hear that. All right, y'all, good show. Y'all keep it up.
Thank you, caller.
All right.
And to add a little bit to that, they have already stated, now these new MSN, BC, and CNN both have stated in their presentation that Jesse Jackson's and the Al Sharptons cannot solve this problem.
Oh, no.
No. We knew that 10 years ago. But if you hear the MSN and those news media saying it, now it brings on a whole different prospect because now most Europeans are afraid because they don't have anybody to quell the situation. Look how much pressure they put on that Ron Johnson. It's a wonder that brother don't have a heart attack or a stroke. Are you familiar?
Ron Johnson, is that the chief or something?
That's the captain of was on the state police.
Okay.
But see, there are three positions above him that he should have been the colonel of the state police. And notice how they brought him in. The colonel said nobody else can handle this job but Captain Johnson. Now, Captain Johnson's got 20 plus years seniority. You and me, would never know Ron Johnson existed. Because if they can get that news media out of there, they're going to kill over half of them people down there. The way, and they don't want any news people to be around. All the information, I can't give you specifics because I don't remember them that well, but they was killing news people over in over in Iraq when the Bushes was having them Desert Storm 1 and Desert Storm 2. They were setting them up to kill them, and they did get away with killing a few. So they would stop taking pictures and telling the truth. They didn't want it to come out. Now that's a fact. And if anyone challenges me, I'll go and pull all that information out.
Well, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to do that now because everybody is pulling their cell phones out, and you have social media now.
That's true. But that cop that they fired, that's what he wanted them to do, turn them cameras on, get them cameras out of there. And they had pictures of him. You got to see that. He had that machine gun pointed directly at the people. And he made it very clear that he was getting ready to shoot if they didn't get back. And now they said he was from another small town. Now that's worse than being from that town. Because they get a change of venue, and I know a lawyer would be incompetent if he didn't ask for a change of venue.
But where would they take them? Because, this is all over the world. Everybody know about it. Where could they take it that don't nobody know about this?
They could take it 10 miles from where they are. There's another town. I don't know the name of it. But within a 15-mile radius of Ferguson, I would bet you there's 10 different cities that are Ku Klux Klan cities, and they would love to have it so they can set that right.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? It's got to stay in the county. So all of it, they were talking about this. They've already set up a defense fund for Nelson, the cop. They're already talking. I was listening to this Detroit 1400 yesterday. I can't call his name, but he's a Democrat. He has started a nationwide I Love Police Officers campaign. Now think about that. Because everywhere there's European police officers, they're having trouble with black folks. Black folks, especially these young boys, they ain't scared of the police officers. They're not afraid. They're not going to run when that cop say run. And that's what them young jitterbugs told that cop. When he told him to get the F out of the street, they probably told him to go F yourself. Stuff like that. And when he pulled up front and thought about it, he said, what? Them blackies had nerve to tell me, not only am I a white boy, I got a pistol, a gun, and a whistle, and a car. And he threw that thing in reverse and damn near ran over him getting back when he backed up. And it all escalated from there.
Well, this kind of ties in too, Ron, for which you was talking about a couple of weeks ago, that Odd Fellow, those fraternal organizations.
Yes. And those Ku Klux Klan are registered organizations in the state. So they can signal all over the state that whoever testifies against that white officer, don't you know they're going to be in trouble, Beverly? Their family's going to be in trouble. Listen. In 1950, now I am convinced that any and every time there was a riot, all the way back in turn of the century. It was all set up by the Europeans to destroy black economics. And any teacher or any leader in those communities, they were trying to put them in jail. In 1950, coming out of the New Deal, 1950, Senator, I can't call his name right now. He set up what was known as the Red Scare. You can look that up. It's called Red Scare, R-E-D-S-C-A-R-E, Red Scare. And what it was all about, they were sending out subpoenas from the Un-American-like Activities Committee set up in Washington, D.C., and they declared that communism was destroying the United States. Are you familiar with that, Beverly?
I've heard something about it. I'm not real.
Coleman Young, and George Crockett, both were subpoenaed to come to Washington and explain why they were not to be put in jail because they were communists. Now, all that was to bring in educated blacks who had sense to know that they were free and did not belong to the system, what I'm trying to teach today, and that the land belonged to them. They called them all in among a white tribunal. Hear me clear. And under what they call it, penalty of perjury. I swear to tell the truth. And they said that McClellan was his name. He kept calling Coleman Young a nigger. He said, now, if all your niggas act like you act, with this uppity talk, Coleman said, let's stop this right now. If you keep using that word like that, I'm going back to Detroit. I ain't got to listen to your madness. Oh, they thought Coleman was the craziest man they ever met. But here's the deal. My father got caught up in it. And all they did was call him to Washington, let him go, and when they went back to their communities, to their job sites, the job told them, we cannot hire you back, or not, we can't let you come back because our honest white Christian Americans don't want to work next to a communist. Now put that in your pipe and smoke. This is true, man. It's called the Red Scare. Look it up. And they probably 85 to 90% of every black and all of the Jews that were in Hollywood, they took their businesses away from them. Canceled their contract. They was running Hollywood, of course, and canceled their contract because they were not good Americans, and they were and nobody was ever convicted of communism, and nobody said a word. Now, I'm looking at all of this and throwing it into Ferguson, Missouri, and I see it as clear as a bell. And remember what they said. People won't talk to the police. They won't talk to the FBI. That's why they sent Holder down there, and he went straight into the black community. I saw him shaking hands and hugging black folks. He hugged that old Ron Johnson like he was his brother. There's more behind it, man. That's my point. Michael Vick and the dogs, Patrolman Nelson and Michael Brown, Holder, civil rights, and the president is trying to stop it before it goes to the United Nations.
Yeah.
And they have to trick those ministers. They ain't nothing to trick because they ain't nothing but a bunch of punks anyway. If I went down there talking, they'd probably shoot me thinking I'm against them. And I'm trying to educate them. But the president, by coming down, now you know he has a lot of power, and all them black folks love that president. So if he go down there and tell them all, we know they're going to cheat y'all. Let's let the prosecutor do what he do, because we know they crooks. Their whole records of crooks. But we are standing by with civil rights to get it. And they're going to step back off.
Yeah,
in order to go to go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, because they already was talking about how the protesters are kind of quieting down now, and it's not as many of them out there as it was before.
Yeah, but they still arrested 50 last night.
Yeah,
they said there was no money. But see, they're going to monitor it down. You're right. They're going going to monitor that. But if it was going to be a fair trial, here's something that nobody talks about. If it was a good prosecutor and a good fair trial, it probably won't go to court for another year, year and a half, maybe 2 years. Because he was a police officer, and number one, I've already told you, a police officer, every move he makes is under scrutiny because he is not, there's no such thing as a police officer. They created that.
That's right.
Never have you voted for a police officer. Where they come from? Now you're going to tell me we need them so we can have peace. And I say, how can you have peace when they shooting everybody? You get it?
Yeah.
But we take things for granted. I'm talking about the American people. They take things for granted because it's more convenient and it's more safe to do it. A lot of them will say, I don't mind getting searched as long as I don't get in an airplane and crash. But they ain't never convinced me that these Arabs have done 9/11.
And they're not going to convince you because they didn't do it.
That's right. And if you ever flew in an airplane and looked out the window, all you got to say is, you got to be an expert pro to fly a big plane into a building because you're traveling too fast and the building's too small. Just think about that.
And if you look at the building, it was, how they call it, imploded when they blow the buildings up.
Oh, yeah.
You can see how it fell down.
Yes.
And they didn't even mention the third building. It was 3 buildings.
But all of that was done so that they could do what they're doing to us now.
And if you look at Hitler, all you got to do, like you said, Ron, is to research. He did the same thing. That's how he started. They burned down something.
Yes, that's how he got in power.
Yeah, that's right.
You're right. And if you turn to the white stations, especially that Rush Limbaugh type and Hannity and that type, and just listen to their arguments. They're saying things. One guy said, I don't know why they're so upset. In the last 3 days, they done burnt down the city of Ferguson and screaming about rights. And 26 black people were killed in Chicago, and nobody said a word. Black on black crime. Another one said, tonight in New York, 2 black men got in a fight, and one of the bullets that shot killed a 17-month-old baby. Where was Jesse Jackson? Where was... Nobody talking because they set it up with the mentality of the people to be concerned about that, and that makes them shameful. My point to you is black on black crime has nothing to do with white America. White on black crime does because blacks are not citizens of the United States. And they will not acknowledge it. They will not even, yesterday, I was on the way to class and I heard the female drive home monitor say, stop calling in there talking about racism and segregation in the South when Detroit's segregated. And she said, I heard yesterday that somebody told me that black people was not citizens of the United States, and I hung up on them. I said to myself, they told you the truth. They're trying to make us not be citizens. That's what she said. Mm-hmm. So now you can, from that, you can really know where their mindset is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they got programs set up. Ron Paul talked. Did you see where $450 million of equipment? One paper said $1 million, and another one said $1 billion of war equipment. All the chief of police have to do is fill out one page request for a grant, a free military machine or military guns or military hand grenades to go into your community. Mm-hmm. And all of them cluckers, all them communities down there that's loaded with Ku Klux Klan, they've been getting all of that equipment.
That's right.
It's It's madness. Now, if there's no phone call, let's take a break. And when we come back, I want to talk about some of the laws that we can use that we can get out of some of this madness. That are already on the books.
All righty. Well, we'll take a 10-minute break. So we'll see you in 10 minutes.
It's a lot going on and it just won't stop. Trying to make it from the bottom up to the top of this cold, cold world. It's a lot going on and it just won't stop. Trying to make it from the bottom up to the top in this cold, cold world.
I got a lot of confessions, young boy getting arrested. My pops and mom stressing, thank God I learned my lesson. Back and forth to church, can't live my life doing dirt. So Father send me a message, I'm ready to do your work. Tired of doing bad deeds and hustling on the turf. Homies killing homies for nothing, they living life without work. Wind up dead or in jail, either heaven or hell. So pray and get on your knees, cause only time will tell.
Wild boys, running rapping in the streets with two left feet, incomplete, missing the beat, feeling the heat. What's beef when niggas creep 30 deep? They don't sleep, peeping the scenery, pockets full of greenery, cemetery, Hail Mary, shell shock baits. The world going crazy, can't seem to shake it off. The bullets ain't lazy, they get to spitting out. I mean super hairy shots, clear your block.
What's going on and it just won't stop.
Trying to make it from the bottom up to the top of this cold, cold world.
It's a lot going on and it just won't stop. Trying to make it from the bottom up to the top in this cold, cold world.
Cold times, cold mind, colder than a cold rhyme. Caught a cold standing out in the cold blind. Homeless in the cold world from a cold dime. Had the cold cock a bitch nigga for stealing cold rhymes. People's minds, souls, hearts colder than cold ice. Repetitive cold crimes, nearly led to cold time. Rather be in the Bahamas sipping cold ties, or in this book spitting truth, laying these cold lines.
Wicked city of bad things, a lot of nightmares, been awakened by bad dreams. So it seems the D seen a lot of bloodshed in the abandoned houses. That's why my people's walking dead. Now last night I shook hands with a dead man. His body was cold, yet dressed and wore a headband. Walked with a cane, a slight limp in his leg. A book to the game, he turned to me and he said,
it's a lot going on and it just won't stop. Trying to make it from the bottom up to the top of this cold, cold world.
it's a lot going on and it just won't stop. Trying to make it from the bottom up to the top in this cold, cold world. Stuck inside the storm, thunder and lightning, and unable to keep my head stable. Like got me spinning like a tornado. Trap since birth, had me mama, she held caution, fighting for my life. Concealed self, losing another kid, trying my hardest to get out. I couldn't see death, climbed out a womb, opened my eyes and took my first breath. She was so happy, all I could see was the white teeth that she held me tightly in her arms, cause now I'm free. But now I'm older, recognizing things on the streets, seeing the peeps with nowhere to sleep, saying they hungry, holding up signs every day. Up on the corner, people pass, they hunk their horns and laugh. Our family warned us about days like this. Always said, get an education is what you be facing. Say goodbye to the dreams you're chasing, but there's still hope. Don't stop now, you can achieve in order to succeed.
You have to believe it's the dream.
Stuck inside the storm, thunder and lightning, and unable to keep my head stable. Like got me spinning like a tornado. Inside the storm, thunder and lightning, and unable to keep my head stable. Like got me spinning like a tornado. Inside the storm, thunder and lightning, and unable to keep my head stable. Like got me spinning like a tornado. Inside the storm, thunder and lightning, and unable to keep my head stable.
Like got me spinning like a tornado. Police sirens, gunshots, they calling back up. Warned you by talking this shit, you getting clapped up. Short views and sociopathic, we put the act up. Told you you can't come close, you got to back up. A nuclear chemical reaction, you getting jacked up. Dangerous schemes we admit, you throwing black up. Bile coming coming out of your throat. You trying to ask what possibly you could even do to save your ass, but your life is flashing before your eyes is turning black, but your spirit preparing to live in your throat that's crackle. Everything turning so black, you lost the battle. Guess that's the price you pay, you fucking asshole. Give me your soul. Give me your soul for the riches, you bitches.
Storm, thunder, and lightning, and I'm able to keep my head stable, like got me spinning like a tornado. Inside the storm, thunder, and lightning, and I'm able to keep my head stable, like got me spinning like a tornado. Inside the storm, thunder, and lightning, and I'm able to keep my head stable, like got me spinning like a tornado. Inside the storm, thunder, and lightning, and I'm able to keep my head stable,
like got me spinning like a tornado.
70 years in a Babylon. Condemn them down to the foundation. In a Babylon, in a Babylon, in a Babylon, one Satan in a Babylon. Watch out. In a Babylon. Wickedness of one in a Babylon. Revelation time has come in a Babylon. So run, devil, run in a Babylon. Watch out now, I tell you Babylon, you're so wrong. I know you don't really want die to get strong. You've been on top for oh so long. You just won't see that your power is gone. You're living in a Babylon. I tell you in a Babylon. I smell you in a Babylon. You're oh so wrong, you're in a Babylon. So much corruption, so much pollution. They don't really want a true solution. All they want is more confusion. So they can divide and rule, but they can't make I and I look fool. They live in a fantasy. Their world is not even reality. Trying to water space. They don't really care about the human race. Building more weapons of destruction, and they're killing people just to win the next election. In a Babylon, the wickedness of one in a Babylon. But revelation time has come in a Babylon. The wicked have a bun in a Babylon. Oh yo 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 yo. In a Babylon, righteousness have come in a Babylon. We'll all be one under the sun in a Babylon. But the wicked have to run in a Babylon. Oh yo 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 yo. Oh, I see. Oh, I feel the prophecy. Yes, I know. You must learn the truth. Truth will set you free, 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 free. I see so much corruption. The wickedness of one in a Babylon. But revelation time has come in a Babylon. I say, run, devil, run in a Babylon. Beside your tribulation in a Babylon. We're going to Mount Zion in a Babylon. Escape from the heathen in a Babylon. Because the judge has said in a Babylon. Things must go his way. I see a Babylon. Revelation time has come. Wisdom and true knowledge must come from within. We love to praise ya. I know intelligence is false wisdom of Babylonian teaching. The Rastafari can make the poor man richer than them all. We love to praise ya. And he won't use just intelligence, him give us eye talk. We love to praise ya. So I sing Rastafari. Satan running loose all about the place. He's deceiving our children right in front of our face. But Armageddon must burn before judgment day. That's why we'll have to learn how to sing and learn how to pray. So I sing knowledge of the truth is all about the place. You must open up your soul and get a taste. But if you don't hear this message, Jaja children sing to you, then I and I Rastafari will have to see you through. So I'll sing Rastafari. I listen like the Well, the world was made flesh and shall dwell among the man.
Hello, Ron. Ron, are you there? Ron?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you are listening to the Truth to Power show and the Ron March show. And tonight, Ron March is talking about civil rights. Is on trial. He's talking about Michael Vick civil rights versus Michael Brown civil rights.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you with us, Ron?
I'm here. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am. What's going on in the chat room? Anybody there?
Yeah, they're listening. If you have any questions or any comments, you can tell us in the chat room, or you can call 347-215-8041. That's 347-215-8041, and push the number 1, and I'll see that you want to talk to Ron March. Okay, Ron.
All right. Now, when it comes to civil rights, we all have civil rights because that's the only thing that we can use against the Constitution of the United States. But you also, I shouldn't say the only thing, but you could also use the Article 3 court, and you will sue as a independent, a natural person, which is another way to go. But you should always exhaust. I want to say you want to exhaust your civil rights, quote unquote, 14th Amendment rights. Now, Title 18, USC, United States Code, Title 18, United States Code. There are a tremendous violations that you can use as a natural person. Number one, the first one that I want to bring your attention is color of law. Let's look at that. This is in the Law Dictionary. It's in the your regular Webster type dictionary. Nobody really understands and or uses it, and I don't know why. Color of law. Color of law. Here's a quick definition. A mere semblance of legal right. Semblance of legal right. Something done with the apparent authority of law, but actually in contravention of law. The plaintiff claimed that under color of law, the officer had deprived him of his civil rights. This is hitting Nelson immediately against Mike Brown. And this is what you call color of law. Color of law and legal definition. See, it's amazing that myself, for example, and I know there's many, many more, but myself, I'm a high school dropout. I don't have any legal study background. But due to the research to find out who I am, I need to know about law, so I find these things out. I want everybody to look up color of law. C-O-L-O-R, color of law. Now, the legal definition of color of law refers to an act done under the appearance of legal authorization, when in fact no such right exists. Today on one of those TV shows, I don't know where it came from, but an officer said that he has a right to stop you if you resist, call him names. He said if you don't act right with it, he said, I'll do everything I possibly can to arrest you. And they read it right on there. I can't give it to you verbatim. I should have tried to look it up online and see if I could read it. But he was saying all the things that meant, I am God in person. You will do exactly as I say or else. That is color of law. He has no authorization to do that. Think about that. Where in the hell does a police officer come from? He's hired on the street like anybody else. He has nothing to do with you, nothing whatsoever. Anytime he arrests you, now they broaden his authority when they say you were committing a crime. But if you're not committing a crime, traveling is not a crime. Traveling in your vehicle is not a crime. So when he stops you and says anything to the contrary, he is using color of law to detain you. And that is a civil rights violation. Here's the violation. Any person who under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state or territory subject or causes to be subjected any citizen of the United States or other person within the jurisdiction thereof to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, immunities secured by the Constitution and laws shall be liable to the party injured in an action at law, suit, equity, or other property proceeding for redress. Acting under color of law is misuse of power possessed by virtue of state law and made possible only because the wrongdoer is covered with the authority of state law. And they have a case right here, Thompson versus Zirkle, Z-I-R-K-L-E, in 2007. That's the case law that they use. Any police officer, when he gets up in the morning, when he puts that uniform on, he violates your rights. Because he's coming out of the house looking for you.
Well, isn't the real law is the sheriff?
Yes. But the sheriff understands his rights. You know, you seldom, if ever, get a ticket for speeding from a sheriff, from a deputy. When they raid something, they're going in to arrest because someone has committed a crime. You follow me? You don't see. Now, when they, if I say that they don't give you tickets, you'll say, well, I saw one the other day, but then you have to look at the case to see what he was really doing if he stopped someone. But I'm saying his authority, no officer under any jurisdiction, sheriff, police, state, none of them have a right to detain you for travel. And if they do, it's under the color of law that they're doing it because they're using what did I call it? Here we go. They're using what is known as, listen to this, a statute, an ordinance, a regulation, a custom, or usage of any state or territory subjects or causes to be subjected. So what I'm saying is you never have voted for a statute, a ordinance, a regulation, or a custom. They're all dictated to by the police department or the authorities such as corporations. Let's just say corporations. They will dictate a policy. You had nothing to do with it. How can they get away with giving you a ticket to violating an ordinance that you had nothing to do with? Because someone said throwing trash out the window is a violation, so we're going to give you a ticket. And if you ever got a ticket for any type of ordinance, the judge will always play with you when you go in there. Oh, you think you can throw a beer bottle out the window, huh? Oh, you think that you can back up on a thoroughfare when no one was coming? Well, that's beside the point. Someone could have been coming. He will always finagle you to make it a custom or a regulation that is unsafe, that he said, and he wasn't there. I remember I got caught turning right on a no right turn, turn only on green lights, some old crap. Right. So the cop comes up and tells me, he said, did you see me sitting there? I said, do you think I would have turned if I saw you? He laughed. And it was funny because what a question. He said, well, go ahead, be careful, be safe. Now, I don't know if he was in a hurry. I don't know if he, whatever, but he dealt with it, and I dealt with it. I'm not bragging about it. I'm not saying nothing about it, other than the fact that it was an ordinance. It was a statute. My sons go downtown in Detroit. You have this problem. When blacks have an event, you have police everywhere. You have tow trucks everywhere. You have buses set up to tow you to the police department. When Europeans have an affair downtown or an event, you get hold down. You don't see any police officers. And those that you do see, they witness open beer on the street, urinating behind trees, improperly dressed, pants down, girls, all that kind of stuff. You say nothing. So my son screams at me, wanting to know it's not fair. I said, it sure isn't, because it's an ordinance. It's a statute. They can execute those ordinances and statutes as they. I wonder how much when that Michael and that guy with him, after the cop told him to get the F out of the street, I bet he used an ordinance that he knew I can go back and arrest them using profanity. When have you ever voted that you could not cuss out a police officer? What is that about? And everybody said, oh, you can't do that. What are you talking about? I can't do it. Why not? And then when you get to court, they're going to change that charge. You've never seen the charge of using profanity. They'll say something like, you were jeopardizing my arrest, or you were resisting my arrest. That type of thing. They never put in the charge what really happened. There is a law against that. There is a civil rights violation. It comes under the color of law. Now, let's talk about that color of law, the section I just had.
Now, Ron, like you just said, you're not an attorney, and from your research, you have learned all of this. How come the attorneys that have went to school, learned all the different laws, statutes, why they don't never use any of this in court?
Because this is very simple. They have sworn under oath not to embarrass the judge, not to embarrass the prosecutor. They have a procedure that says the judge is right, the prosecutor is right, and you are right. I'll get that. And they swear to this. When I say you, they're talking about themselves. Whatever's left, give it to the defendant. Meaning, if there's a charge of stealing, and the charge, all crimes have a price. Every crime there's a price. That's why you don't see drug dealers go to jail, because they're trying to keep them out because they're paying money to stay out of jail. So every crime, there's a price on every crime. The judge knows what that price is. That's why he can set bonds. That's why he'll put you in jail if you don't agree, or not agree, if you don't pay the bond or whatever. So when a lawyer that defends you comes to court, somebody's going to pay that bond. I don't care who it is. Somebody's going to pay it. Now, if nobody has any money, the lawyer better be shrewd enough to convince the defendant, which all of them are dumb anyway because they have an attorney, that I did all I could for you, and you're going to have to do a year in the slammer, but I may be able to get 9 months. So give me a second to talk to the prosecutor, and I'll be right back. So they'll come back and say, if you sign here, we can get you 9 months instead of a year. You're going to hurry up and sign. Now, the lawyer, is the biggest crook in the courtroom because he has to convince the defendant. Not only is the defendant stupid, he's got to convince the defendant that the lawyer is doing everything he can to protect the defendant. And that's where they get promoted, when they can do that with such smooth operation. If that lawyer challenges that judge, Beverly, not only will they kick him out of the courtroom and try him for contempt, they may take his P number. Now, there's nothing more detrimental to a judge, a prosecutor, or any attorney. He'd rather do time in the slammer like Kilpatrick than to take the P number. And you know why, correct? He could never work again.
Right.
And surely he will not find a job that he can cheat people to make as much money as an attorney can make. I'm not saying they all make money, but I'm saying they all make enough to live. They know how to go out and get a case. They know how to go out and get a case. So they're not allowed, going back to your question, they are not allowed to, what can I say, be honest. But they are. I can't argue with them because they give you exactly what you asked for. Once you call for an attorney, you're saying, it's like a babysitter. When you want to go out, Bev, and have a baby, you call a babysitter. You cannot challenge that babysitter to do this, do that, because the babysitter is taking care of the baby. Now, you're going to make sure they don't kill the baby, but my point is, you've got to have a babysitter because the baby is a minor. Mm-hmm. Well, if you go to court and ask for an attorney, that means that you are a minor, just like a baby. And you cannot speak in court. The lawyer is your mouthpiece. So you are considered to be an idiot. There's no ifs and buts about it. You are an idiot. And you will be handled accordingly. That's why they hate Moors. They hate Moors because we are totally aware. We know how to do certain things when we go to court. And it makes the judge an idiot because he don't know how to handle you. But now they're going back to school to come up with some ways that they can handle you. And one of the most detrimental ways is to declare you insane. They told one of my friends, Bev, that you know too, like me. They'll say to me, Mr. March, you just know too much for your own good. So I'm going to ask for you to take a psychiatric examination because you got to be crazy. If I'm an idiot, I'm going to say right off the bat, go to hell. I ain't taking no exam because I ain't crazy. And he don't care. He'll just smile. As soon as you walk out, he'll put a warrant out for your arrest. He'll set up that examination. And if you don't show up, they're going to come out and arrest you. I got a friend that just got out less than 2 months ago. He did close to 68 days in the Dickerson out there in Hamtramck. Because in 2009, when he reamed the judge said, you need a psychiatric test. Nobody's ever come in here and told me the stuff you're telling me. So you got to be crazy. We need somebody to look at you. But I think you're going to be detrimental to yourself or to someone in the street. So then what he knows now, he told the judge to go to hell. I'm out of here. And from 2009 to 2014, he never knew he had a case until he was a passenger in a vehicle, a passenger there. Right. And when they asked for his ID, they arrested him.
Ron, we have a caller.
Yes. Let's deal with
okay. Area code 917-443. Area code 917.
Yes.
We hear you.
Hi. Ron is correct. When you go to court, the judge, the lawyers, they don't like the Moors, and they're very vocal about it too. He's 100% correct. They say they always say.
What do they say?
Because I went to court one time and the judge, I asked the judge why she's not accepting the paperwork, and she, of Moors, and she said that's because we hate the Moors. We hate them. Boy, I tell you, it was something in that courtroom.
Caller, can you turn your volume down? Are you on the computer? Because we're getting feedback.
No, I'm not on the computer.
Okay, all right.
Ask her what state is she from? That this happened?
New York.
Pittsburgh.
New York?
No, New York.
Wow. And the judge said he hates Moors.
It was a female. She said, we hate the Moors, and that's why we don't accept their paper. And so I had to say what I had to say, and I left.
Yeah. Well, see, you were a defendant. Is that correct?
Yes, I was being sued.
Were you a defendant?
I was being sued.
Yes.
They were suing me.
Well, see, okay. If you go now or as soon as you can to Title 18 USC and just read those violations, they did all of that to you.
Oh, yeah.
Done, and I don't mean this on a negative note when I say should have. I wasn't there. So I'm just saying what you could have done was went to federal court and sued the judge and the prosecutor or whoever was after you. You could have sued them for violating your rights under the color of law. You need to read that color of law, and a lot of things will come to you.
Yeah, but I won the case. I won the case anyway. But the point was that I couldn't believe I couldn't believe she said she hates the Moors. That really shocked me, you know. And that's why they don't accept the paperwork. They put them through changes.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. I know you saw that chief of police, that Jackson, down there in Ferguson, Missouri. Did you see him?
Yes, I did.
On TV?
Yes.
Now, my question to you, he wouldn't make a good patrolman in any city in the United States. That was the dumbest punk I ever seen in my life. And he was the chief of police.
I think that was a setup, personally. I think that's a setup.
But my point is this. Can you imagine going into his precinct or into his police station, and of all the officers he hired them, they had to be as dumb as he was. And the news media said he was ignorant. It wasn't me. I looked at that cat. I said, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And all he did was try to, you saw it all. I don't have to go through it.
But that's a club.
That's a club. Beverly?
Yes.
This is what we're up against when we go into courts. And they can say anything they want, scare the hell out of you, or, like the lady said, just deny accepting your paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Now, is she still on the line?
She's still here. Caller, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear him. But what I'm saying is that they hate us, period. And you know what? To me, I told her, get off the planet, man. It's time for them to leave. That was it. That's what I told them. And I packed up my stuff and went on about my business.
Let me ask you another question. Did you mail your paperwork or did you take it in?
No, I took it in. I mean, I just had started studying at that time, and I took it in. But, you know, there were certain questions I needed to ask because I couldn't understand why Moors were taking paperwork to court coming back with a check.
Yes.
I didn't understand
but you know
that.
Now
And that's why
now you should mail it. Tell her, Beverly, she should mail the paperwork and get the green card, and you ain't got to argue with her.
Well, that's true,
too.
Yes, I heard him, but I told her like this. If she calls me back in the courtroom again, well, whatever happens, happens, and that's how that's going to be. She hurried up and got me out there.
Thank you, caller. We have another caller.
All right. Let me say this, Bev. This is what the whole system is up against. That's why Obama is down there. He cannot take a chance. We got some smart black folks out there, and we are tired of the bull crap. And he knows it. And Detroit has already shown him we can get in the United Nations.
Right.
Go ahead with the caller.
Okay, we have a caller from 848-628. 848.
Oh, hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, I'm here.
Good.
Yeah, my name is Vickens Moscova Micah L. Bay, calling out of New Jersey territory. Yeah. So I had a case yesterday in Newark, New Jersey, where I sued my landlord because I gave him a promissory note and they didn't accept it, and then I think they didn't follow HJR 92, but I think they also got me on because I couldn't prove that the attorney got the promissory note. So it's kind of like I'm kind of practicing, wanting to get everything going. Not that I really want to be in court, but it looks like I made some key mistakes. So I just want to let people know out there, and if you have any tips for me on, you can study all you want, but when you make like administrative mistakes, like not like getting, because what happened, I got the wrong address from the attorney I called to confirm the address, and he literally gave me the wrong address again. Like, they do things to really get us. So, do you have any tips? I could just let that one go, but do you have any tips? Should I continue that and maybe sue the judge for not sticking with HJR 192 in federal court?
Yes. Number one, take my email address, because I don't know the complete case number, but it's Hinko versus Clean, I think it is, but I can get it, which means that if you were defending yourself, the courts must bend over backwards to help you and they should look over mistakes such as what you're telling me, that you got the wrong address. But did you get a green card back from where you sent it?
Yeah, I did, but with no signature.
Okay. You know, and that doesn't matter, because you can go online, put the number in, go online, it'll tell you who signed for it online, because the federal government is responsible for a signature. Now, we don't care if the card don't have a signature, but the federal government was not allowed to leave that mail unless someone was responsible for it. And if not, you can sue the federal government, the post office, and they don't play around. So they cover themselves, I guarantee you that. So take the number and go online to I can't call it off fast enough. A postal service, United States Postal Service. Yep. And it'll say, put the number in and tap it, and it'll come back and tell you who signed for it. If there's no signature, print it out, take it to the post office, and tell them you're going to sue them at that post office. Don't try to act like you know somebody you're going to sue. You're going to sue them people at that post office you go to, because they are representing the federal government.
Wow, that's yep.
That's number one. Number two, when you deal with landlords, there's only two honest, complete contracts that can be made in the United States. The first one is your marriage to your wife. And the second one is a lease or a landlord, because you have a person signing it on the other end when you get a landlord an apartment. Somebody signs on the other end.
Yeah, the agent, right?
Yes. Now, the question is, what was your complaint? That's why I say you got to email me, and then we'll tap through it to take a look at it. But you got to have a complaint against the building or the landlord or somebody, because the contract you signed is a valid contract. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, that's also why they got me, because in the contract I signed and said that I would only pay in money order and check. So promissory note, even though it's a negotiable instrument, wasn't part of that. But I signed for the lease a year ago, and then the new year I didn't sign a new contract at all. But apparently it renewed automatically, so I didn't even need to sign a new lease. So that's part of the reason that I was complaining that they destroyed my promissory note and didn't honor it.
Yep.
So.
All right. Now, HJR 192 says that nobody can tell you which negotiable instruments to use. No one can tell you that. So when they put in that contract that you had to pay cash, check, or money order, they have violated the HJR 192, which is a law, and a public policy 7310. I can't run it off fast enough. But you have a right to pay them in any instrument you see fit, which would include the promissory note. And by him telling you it's a law against, say what?
And that's what I told the judge, and
he's not going to admit it in court. That's why you may have to sue them, and you become the plaintiff, and make them the defendant, and make them prove that they had a right to do what they did to you.
Oh, that's what I did. I sued them. The Hallmark House Investments was the LLC, and they had the attorney and the agent there.
Okay.
As defendant.
All right. Who signed did they bring paperwork to prove? The contract seemed to be a unconscionable contract. You have a right to void it, because if they told you how to pay, you had a right to void it. So they committed fraud, and by them committing fraud, you have a right to wake up anytime you want to wake up. So you could pay for a year, 10 years, 100 years, and wake up and say, wait a minute, I don't have to pay you in these $3, because it's against the law for you to make me pay you like this.
Right, acquiescence or whatnot, I think.
Ain't no such thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
When it comes to fraud. But
yeah,
fraud, there's no statute of limitation on fraud. You got it?
Yep, I got it.
Email me and I'll try to lay it on you. Email me
all right,
and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, Ron.
All right. I was looking for, and I got it, color of law, let me see what they call it. Under the Civil Rights Act of 1871, Title 42 U.S.C. Section 1983. It says the color of law is synonymous with state action which is conduct by an officer that bears a sufficiently close nexus to a state so that the action is treated as though it is by the state. Meaning, you have people that, like the guy just called, the judge is trying to make it look like he was representing a law that was not a law. He was under the color of law. And there was no legal action for him, no lawful action for him to proceed. But since he was in his own court, he could do what he wanted to do. Section 1983 of Title 24 of the U.S. Code is part of the Civil Rights Act of 1871. This provision was formally enacted as part of the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871 and was originally designed to combat post-Civil War racial violations in the southern states. Reenacted as part of the Civil Rights Act, Section 1983 is, as of the early 2000s, the primary means of enforcing all constitutional rights. So the guy violated. See, that's what you have to look at. What did they tell him? Under the color of law, they ordered the court to open up because judges, lawyers, and prosecutors are crooks by definition. And let me tell you why they are crooks. A better word for crooks would be they're treasonous, because they have sworn to uphold the Queen of England. Any attorney that has a P number is a crook. So when that guy said that the attorney for the company and an agent came in, he should have got their identification. That's the first thing you should do. And then when you see that they're attorneys, then you tell the judge, I'd make a motion to dismiss because I'm dealing with crooks and treasonous individuals. You get it, Ben?
I got it.
Yeah, and you know, you got to know this. Now, the judges are not going to let you go that far because they don't want to be put on Front Street. But if there's any ruling in favor of that gentleman, that means on the federal level, it goes all over the United States. So they'll kill that judge for making a mistake. So he's got to figure out the judge. That's why they get so angry. That's why that female told Judge, that lady that called, we hate Moors. And she hates them because she has to go to work and show her intelligence, and she don't have any. Moors make them act the way they should act, and most of them cannot do it. I can see it so clear. I hope I'm making myself clear.
Yeah, you're making yourself clear.
Right. See, most of them cannot abide by the law because most attorneys never studied the law. They study procedures and tricks in order to win. And most of them are very good at tricks. They're very good at tricks. I just found out recently, any signature you give a person, listen to this carefully, Ben. Any signature you give a person by law, and I haven't looked for the law yet, they're not allowed to give that signature to anyone. That's why when you ask for validation of debt, that's why I was asking the guy, did he sign a contract with that landlord? Any validation of debt, they cannot produce the signature because they don't have it. So they cannot prove that you even have a contract with a corporation.
Well, just like the lease, okay, he signed it and the landlord signed it, correct?
Yes, that's a contract.
Okay.
Marriage, your wife signs and you sign.
Right.
That's a contract. And the state also slides in there. But people sign those two contracts. Those are those are the only true contracts in the United States government.
Okay.
Everything else is color of law. It's a resemblance of something, and somebody going to say, well, I bought the car. No, you didn't. Because you'll never own it, number one. And when you sign the promissory note, you automatically paid it because they cannot produce the promissory note to prove that you signed it.
So when you signed the promissory notes for the car, where did it go?
They took it to Wall Street through the system, and they monetized it and sold it on the open market. They monetized it, they bundled it. So you say out of 100 cars that were sold at a particular time, you could create a bond worth $10 million. Because every one of those promissory notes has a value to it, and you're supposed to pay on the note because you're dumb, you're stupid, you don't know it. So they're going to make money on the open market by selling it at an interest rate, and you, out of your ignorance, are going to start making monthly payments. You know, we went through this a long time ago, Beth.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't bring the promissory note back because the law says once it goes into a security instrument, you must destroy the promissory note. So there will be no double dipping. But they all double dip because the people are ignorant to what they're doing. So they sell the promissory note in a bundle out on the left, and they turn around with a copy of the note over on the right and make you continue to make payments on the left. There used to be a time when you paid off something, they would give you your promissory note back. They said people are not aware of it, so why should we want to give it back to them? They don't have it to give back. You follow me?
Because don't some investors, is that what they sell to, like some investors, and that's what you're saying, when they take it to Water Street, they buy those promissory notes?
All of them do. Not some. All of them do.
Okay.
Yes. Anytime you sign your name, it's bundled somewhere. And they love to put you in jail because you sign 100 notes when you go to jail. And they can bundle those notes from the prison and sell them on the open market. And you'll never know what it is. Follow me?
Yeah.
So it's important, especially when you got people like the several callers tonight that have had problems. They need to read and start out with color of law. Understand what it means for them to use color of law. And they have to use color of law because they have you in a hocus pocus trick bag by stealing your
well, we just lost Ron. I think that his time went out on the system that he was using. And so I will be back Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and my guest will be Ali Myers, and he will be talking about magic. And I will be back next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Ron March. So thanks for joining us, and until then, peace and much, much love.